right, folks, I think we'll try and get started. I don't want to interrupt all of the wonderful conversations that are happening here, but I do want to get going. All right, so we'll begin. I will begin by calling, well, first I'll begin by welcoming everybody, those who are joining us in the gallery and those online. Welcome to our beautiful City Council chambers here in downtown Summerside. So I will call to order the City of Summerside Monthly Council meeting of June 16, 2026, here at 5:33 p.m. I'll ask, before I ask for a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda as presented, with council support here, I would like to amend the agenda by simply adding a 9 A, B, C, D under the in-camera session, closed door, MGA, CAO review. It is part of the annual council review of the Chief Administrative Officer, and step 2 in the process is happening here this evening. So if council's okay with that, I'd like to propose that as a friendly amendment. With the friendly amendment, I will call for a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda as presented. So move, Councillor McColman, second, Councillor McDougall. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposition, changes, revisions? Seeing and hearing none, we'll continue as set out in the agenda before you. We acknowledge that the land upon which we're gathered is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 10,000 years past, present, and future. At this time, I'll ask any member of council to declare a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda before you. Seeing and hearing none, we will continue. I will take a note. Councillor Trenholm, I believe, is joining later, and Councillor Snow had a family emergency and will join if possible. I will begin by calling for members of Planning Board first here to approve the following Planning Board minutes. The minutes of the Planning Board meeting of June 2nd, 2026. I'll call for a mover and a seconder from members of Planning Board only. We have a couple of choices. So move Councillor Duran, seconded Councillor Adams. Yep, Councillor Adams. There's only a few of us on Planning Board. All members in Planning Board who are approving the minutes as presented, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Changes, revisions? Seeing and hearing none, those minutes are adopted. Now for all of council, with respect to the following minutes, the monthly council meeting of May 19, 2026, and the committee of the whole meeting of June 2nd, 2026. I'll ask for a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes as presented. So move Councillor Morrison, second Councillor Cameron. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any changes or revisions? Hearing none, all the minutes are approved. We'll move right on to item 3. Accolades and recognitions is an opportunity for any member of council to speak to any accolades or recognitions in the community from the past little while. Seeing and hearing none, we'll continue, but I'll touch on one just because it came up here this morning and I think it's interesting and unique. To recognize the Santiago family here in Summerside. I think if you asked anyone, most people in the city of Summerside, who the most famous people were in our city, you wouldn't jump immediately to the Santiago family, but you would also be wrong. The Santiago family are social media influencers. They have a YouTube channel called Diary of 4. Today, I would suspect they will meet the threshold of 25 million subscribers. That is the 7th most popular YouTube channel in Canada, and they have accumulated 69.5 billion views on their social media content. I was at a presentation from them this morning. And anyway, I want to wish them congratulations. Incredible what a couple who had moved here in 2018 from the Philippines to work as a general manager at the Kentucky Fried Chicken, making $11 an hour, have turned into here in our city and have put Summerside on the map. And as they said this morning, they travel around the world and their family gets stopped all over the globe to get photos taken. And I'm sure I have walked past and simply just nodded many times here in Summerside. But anyway, congratulations to the Santiago family for that success. At this point, we'll move on to public presentations, petitions, and delegations. We have two. We'll begin with BEMA. We have a presentation with respect to the Summerside Watershed project. I think we have Tracy and David here from BEMA, and I'd like to welcome you both up to the mic and hand it over to you.
This one. There we go. Okay. We're just going to do a quick run through of some of our programs and initiatives that we have in the city of Summerside, and then we're going to look in deeper into a couple projects that we're proposing to do for the future. No, just run this roll. There you go. Okay, in the last couple of years, we've made a bit of a social change to looking at seniors and senior initiatives and getting the seniors back out in the community and get them back connected with the youth and through environmental projects and programs. So for the last couple of years, we've done quite a lot of programs where we've actually brought youth groups into the seniors' homes. Our main homes that we work with is Wedgwood and Somerset Manor. But we do work with independent living seniors as well into our programs. So we've had programs where we had the SEAM group that actually have planted pollinator containers, and we've taken them into the seniors' homes for them to take care of and to be a part of the community. We've had workshops where we've invited seniors out to learn how to plant pollinator containers. And we've actually had 3 or 4 youth groups and children's daycares come in, and they've planted pollinator gardens at Wedgwood Garden and Wedgwood, and also this year we're planting pollinator gardens at Somerset as well. We actually have gotten funding to launch 2 new initiatives. Connecting seniors to nature through technology. That is a 4-year initiative we've gotten funded. And through this program, we'll be putting up trail cameras that are Wi-Fi trail cameras. They will actually be streaming into the seniors' homes so they can actually see the wildlife that's traveling in front of this camera. So we'll be doing that with Wi-Fi nature cameras as well as bird view cameras. So they'll be connected to bird feeders. So they'll actually be able to see the birds and interact with nature right from the comfort of the Wedgwood or Somerset Manor's family rooms. And the other one we're doing is the New Horizons for Seniors program. So that's a federal grant that we got. And this includes intergenerational programming. So bringing youth into seniors' homes, community connections, so youth with disability into seniors' homes. And they're going to be planting gardens that last year they made Christmas cards for them to give out to their family. So they made Christmas cards made out of seed paper. And the seniors were given the cards to sign and give out to their families that the youth had made for them, and in partnership with our coordinators. So that's another project. And this is the project going forward. We're now working with Somerset Manor under the New Horizons. So these are the areas that we're looking to put plant pollinator gardens in. So they have just some dead space and their facility gets $250 a year to do gardening. So we're actually going to help them increase this by our partnerships with basically with Cool Breeze Farms and with John's Greenhouses and with our youth groups. And we're going to go in and we're going to plant pollinator gardens for them and help them enhance. As well, we also did, in case anyone's been around Prince County Hospital, we did a huge pollinator garden for the palliative unit. So that's the one right up beside the pollinator, to the left of the pollinator. So anyone who's in the palliative unit at Prince County Hospital, which my mother was for 5 months, can look out and see that garden. And so right now, we built it, we created it, and then now the volunteers have taken that over in order to keep it going for the palliative unit. And then as well, we've done gardens around Summerside with private industry, private businesses, and of course at our Heritage Ice Pond. Right now, pollinators are disappearing across the world, so this is a very important initiative that we think needs to be brought about and to make those habitats available right across, whether it's rural or urban areas. In case anyone was around on our social media, last year we had Ocean Week Canada, And Ocean Week Canada, we did a series. We got a grant from the federal government to do a series of connecting people back to the ocean. So we had youth groups out there. We had a gigantic beach sweep that cleaned up quite a bit of Summerside's area. And we had hands-on activities where people had a 30-foot seine net, and we brought it in, and we showed them what was actually, most people walk around in the water and don't realize how much invertebrates and how much fish and stuff are actually in the ocean, like right where they're swimming. So we also taught them about eelgrass. So eelgrass as well is disappearing around the world. And Summerside has some really nice beds of eelgrass that are actually still alive. So we've been monitoring them for the last 3 years, monitoring eelgrass around Summerside, around the Bidak Bay. And so we were showing people how we do the monitoring and how we send it to an international database. Again, in Summerside, we do a whole bunch of different things yearly. We do our Trees for Trash. And so we pick a spot. This year, I believe it is Heather Moyse Park, maybe. Last year it was our ice pond and below the ice pond. So people come out. We give them garbage bags. We give them gloves. They clean up and they bring the garbage bag back, and they get to trade it for trees or shrubs. And these are 1 gallon pot trees. So people get excited to get free stuff, and they do the cleanup for the city of Summerside and for us, and they get trees to plant. Every year we do BEMA Bug Day. And so we have a big festival at our ice pond, and we introduce children to the small insects that people kind of forget that are important. And so we have portable microscopes, we have a mackerel net, and they get to go out in the pond and dig for bugs and sort them out and learn about them right there on site. And then we also had, not too long ago, we had a Youth Stewardship Day at the pond. So we had a whole bunch of youth groups and volunteers come out, and they did a cleanup around the pond, up and down the stream, and basically spent the whole day learning about how important it is to connect and keep contact with nature, and how to keep it clean, and how to be stewards of the land. And these are just some of our programs that we do. So SIS, we did electrofishing demonstrations. We do the Rivers to the Sea project, which they learn about rivers and how it goes to the estuary and how that connection is important. We have a tree swallow program with Envirothon group at Tosh. So we put up tree swallow boxes as well. Tree swallows are insectivores, and they are also disappearing because of the loss of insects. It's a connection. And we also did bank swallow surveys with them. Again, bank swallows, insectivores, disappearing on the species at risk list right now. Holland College, we do Rivers to the Sea. They helped us build and put up owl nesting boxes around the Summerside, just on the outskirts, more towards the edges of Summerside, up in Musqueam area. And we've done nature walks. Dreams Unlimited those are our workers. They come back every year for a reunion, and they maintain the garden that they built with the seniors at Wedgwood Manor. And they also do Rivers to the Sea. And then Summerside 4-H was part of our owl nesting box program. They as well built owl nesting boxes for saw-whet owls, and we helped them put them up around Summerside. And they also they did a garden workshop to learn how to build gardens, to build pollinator gardens as part of their program. It actually became one of their badges, and to get for Summerside, they could sign up for it. Girl Guides as well, this became a badge for them as well, that they could build on their interest in their environmental awareness. So they did owl nesting box program with us as well, built the owl box. But in total, we had 26 owl boxes that was built by all these groups. And then, again, Rivers to the Sea is a very popular one because they get to take that big 30-foot seine net out and drag it through the ocean and pull in all the fish and look at what they're doing and what's living out there. And we also have this year, we obviously have tree planting at Rotary Friendship Park with some youth and volunteers that's being scheduled for the fall. And our Adopt a River program will start again in the fall with teachers. And a big one that we also are popular with is our Yellowfish Road program. And so what we do is, if you guys are driving around or you're walking around and you see these yellowfish on any of the culverts around Summerside, those culverts have been adopted by either a daycare or a youth group. And so what they do is they go out and they paint the yellowfish on the road. They hand out plaques and signs around the neighborhood doorknob hangers to educate people as to why the yellowfish are there, and to educate people about what they should or should not pour down their drain and how it actually affects the estuary. So the kids have a great time. They get the vest, they get the actual sign that says environmentals at work. So some of the kids, they all have jobs. Some of them direct traffic, some of them paint, some of them hand out, some of them talk to people going by, so they all have jobs. So our enhancement and conservation program is another big one that we do. We're not just like rural, we're urban as well. Like, it's interesting that they say we're the Summerside watershed group, but the reality is Summerside is in our area. We do the Bedek Bay watershed, so Summerside is actually in our area. So it's kind of a reverse. So we do a lot of programs in and around Summerside that are targeted to conservation and conservation education and outreach. So this is our Cross Swallow Tree Swallow initiative, the Cross Watershed. So what we are doing is we're putting up boxes for tree swallows. Tree swallows, again, their populations are going down because they are insectivores and they're losing their food sources and they're losing their nesting habitats. So we partner up with community members and with other watershed groups. I believe there's 10 around the province right now that are building and putting up and monitoring the tree swallow boxes. So we put the tree swallow boxes up, we monitor them for the eggs, and then we ban the hatchlings before they can fledge. And if we can, we get in to ban the adults as well. And all that data is actually sent to the federal government as well, to Environment Canada. And so we're trying to keep track of, right now we know that bank swallows are on the endangered species list. Tree swallows are going down, but they have not been listed as endangered yet. So we're trying to get ahead to see what their populations on PEI are, if they are disappearing as fast as the bank swallows are. And so right now we actually, we have 13 boxes out in partnership with Three Oaks, and those are all around the green space around Three Oaks. And Three Oaks students, the Envirothon groups, are actually monitoring those for us, and they're basically, so you have to check them once a week because you need to check when the first egg is laid, and then you have to figure out from them when they start hatching, because you have to get the fledglings hatched. They'd hatch at a certain time, so when you go to band them, there's a very small window when their leg is either too small for the band, or when you touch them, they're gonna fly out of the box. So we have to keep track of them so we know when that banding window, so Three Oaks is doing that for us. And we have some other volunteers around Summerside that have some of these boxes up as well that are monitoring for this. And on the Green Shore, I don't know if anyone's noticed, you guys have what we potentially have marked as bank swallow nesting site. So there are set sites that Birds Canada has marked around Summerside. One of them is the wharf, which I don't know why, because there's no way there's tree swallows there, or bank swallows there. So we have actually got a program where we're looking around Summerside to try and ground proof some of these sites to see if they really are where these endangered species are. So we have noticed a new site in Green Shore, so we'll be working with Birds Canada this year to monitor that, to see if there actually is a potential bank area for them to actually have a nesting colony, if it's an old colony, or if it's a colony that has been abandoned. So we'll be working with that with some volunteers around Summerside. And of course, one of our big things we do is riparian zone enhancement. So riparian zone enhancement, right now, our goal is to basically connect green spaces in Summerside. You guys have some green spaces that are being cut off, and the green space is the travel zone for wildlife. So in order to keep wildlife out of people's backyards and off people's front steps, they need to have ways to travel that they feel safe to connect from that hunting field to that forest to that denning site. And so our job is to look at these riparian zones along the streams and stuff and try and get some vegetation in there to protect it, to plant it, and obviously to protect the watercourses as well. So right now, our goal for this year for Summerside alone is 1,750 one-gallon trees, and these are trees and shrubs that we're looking to plant across selective areas that we worked with Trent Williams to pick this year to see where our best target was, to what areas to hit. So Rotary, Lafergie, some of those areas that we're going to look at, Heather Moyse Park, and below the area down below the KFC as well. So, and this just shows the South Side Creek is one of our target areas. The ice pond, below the ice pond, is one of our target areas. The riparian zone there is getting a little thin, and it's getting old. So it's starting to fall down. It needs to be re-enhanced and refurbished with some young trees and shrubs to come up underneath. Yep, right below, basically from the ice pond down below, across from the dairy bar, down that strip that is where that triangle is, right across from the dairy bar, yeah. And then we'll be going up the other side as well, up on Helen McDonald's land, further up to kind of enhance that whole section. Because if you go there now, it's a lot of dead alders, dead spruce, just dead trees that are all falling down. And up, what's coming up now is really just grass and stuff. It needs to be enhanced with some younger growth under there. And so the other day, our crew, as well as planting, we're also doing stream enhancement. I don't think the streams in Summerside have had a field crew go in there in years and actually go in and clean them up, take out the alders. I'm not sure where Trent is targeting, but our goal is to go through some of these streams, open it up, get the water flow going, get some of the sediment moving, take some of the trash, the deadfall, the invasive species out, and get them more viable for fish species to move up and down. So this is what we're targeting this year. So usually you'll see us year to year, we pick an area. So one year it might be Atlantic salmon on the Dunk or Atlantic salmon on the Wilmot. This year we talked with Trent, and after all the construction and new homes and the new subdivisions going up, I was starting to see like some of the streams are getting really roughly looking, and they're getting disconnected, and they need to be cleaned out. And I know we haven't done a full cleaning in there in a couple years. So we thought this was an opportunity to go in and do it, but also an opportunity to have some volunteer outreach days and have some community members and some youth go in and see, because a lot of the time we're doing stream clearing, we're out in the backwoods, they don't see what we're doing. So the opportunity while we're in the city of Summerside is to actually have youth groups, have community, have people come out and see what it takes and why it's important to keep these streams going. So right now, they took out, last week, they took 185 pounds out of garbage out of the streams. And that was, which stream was that?
I think it was up by KFC and our pond.
Yeah, so that was just 2 streams that we hit, and that was just in one day.
It was just a few hours.
A few hours, yeah, like it's, some of it is homeless encampment material, but some of it is just general garbage and general stuff that moves in from this blowing in the winter time, coming out of people's windows in their cars, whatever. It's just general garbage. So it's not all heavy homeless encampment stuff. And then 2 years ago, do you want to talk about this?
Well, you're by the mic.
Okay, so 2 years ago, we were contacted by Reed's. His pond was starting to breach his berm that he had there, and he was worried that the berm was going to blow out, and should it have blown out, it would have taken out basically Water Street down at Reed's Corner, down from the Starlight Diner down. And so he contacted us, as well as the land around him has been sold for a new subdivision. And the last thing you want to be as a homeowner with a 15-foot pond in the middle of a subdivision of kids. That was going to be a liability that he did not want to keep. So he contacted us, and we worked with the Department of Environment, and we decommissioned that pond. We turned it back to a stream. So when you drive by now, you'll see it's a nice stream flowing through there. So it took us quite a while because we had to pull the dam down gradually, because you couldn't let that water go at once. And so it took a few weeks to get that down gradually. And then now our plan going forward is to actually stabilize the stream banks and make sure that it is coming up as a stream, and the whole area that used to be the pond basin needs to be kind of filled in with vegetation in order to stabilize those banks. So we're working with him over the next couple of years to basically go forward and plant quite a bit of trees and shrubs and swamp milkweed for pollinators, of course, and pollinator plants in there. And this is the other one we've been talking to Trent about. So this is right below the golf course. And so we were down there a couple weeks ago. And you can see on the left-hand side is what it looked like in 2023. A little bit of a healthier pond, a healthier stream, and you can see what it looks like now. So it's been pretty much decimated by the construction up above. And so right now, we're kind of working with Trent to see what we can do with that site. So it's going to be going forward, it's going to be some investigation. We're going to be in there in the next little while with a drone up, taking some drone shots, and try to find a way that we can fix, enhance, bring this back to life from what's happened to it with all the sediment. Right now, it's quite a mess. You can't even actually see the stream up there. It just looks like a big wetland because it's been so decimated by the construction, by the sediment that came down. So we kind of had it on our project proposal going forward, but until we got on site there a couple weeks ago and actually saw what was going on, this is one that we're just going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out where it's best to target this and what's our best way going forward to do some of this work. Of course, everyone's familiar with our Heritage Ice Pond. And so right now we have community pollinator gardens. So these are pollinator gardens there that are actually, Community Connection owns one. The URSA owns another one. So they come in with us and they maintain it. Steam PEI is also on one. And then the Girl Guides are just general volunteers, work with on the others. And so we have done tree shrubbing, planting, enhancement with pollinator garden work and all that on that site. So of course we've finally got the trail there and we've got the walking bridge and everything. So it is a popular site in Summerside. You'll see a lot of people that they go to the dairy bar, they get their ice cream and they walk around the pond and they have a seat on the bench and then they eat their ice cream and off they go. So any time of day when we go there, we can see just general people just walking around commenting on how they remember it, ice fishing there as a kid or skating there as a kid. And of course, in the wintertime, we always have the skating rink that we do for the community as well, so we maintain a skating rink there for the community. And unfortunately, we've had massive issues with homeless encampments. So in the past 3 years, we have cleaned up and removed 4 or 5 encampments, and it's been wonderful. We've had the help of Trent and his staff to do it with us. Unfortunately, our problem is we're not for profit. We hire summer students that are like 22-year-old young girls. I can't send 22-year-old young girls in there to deal with homeless people, to deal with syringes, to deal with heavy materials, to deal, we can't do that. And so we're getting to the point now where we just cleaned it up a couple weeks ago. We were there on Friday. They're back again. We were there yesterday. They're faster in there than we can get them out of there. And they've actually made their own trail through there now. So they've taken the edge of our trail and cut a trail through the woods all the way up the riparian zone to make their encampments. And so it's become something that we went to talk to Trent because we can't tackle this ourselves as a small not-for-profit. We just can't. And the liability of having my young staff in there, university students, we can't do that. So we're trying to figure out some way that we can work with the city and work with the landowners around the area. And I've contacted both landowners. And they're quite on board with this project to do something to try and tackle this. So what we're looking at doing is talking to Trent and talking to other people that have had homeless encampments. They like to be somewhere in the back where they're hidden, where they can't be seen. Our idea is to go in there, and I talked to the Department of Environment, because the homeless have done us a favor and already cut a trail, and it looks like they did it with chainsaws that they stole from Helen McDonald. Yeah, she might want, yeah, so basically they've cut the trail already. Our plan is to go in, is open up the trail, open up and make a trail that goes all the way from the top of her ice pond all the way up to Confed Trail. And it would be partially on Helen McDonald's land. And I've talked to her about this. And if we open it up, we make a very obvious trail, take out all the shrubbery, take out the big trees, make it so they can't hide in there. Make it so that you've got people going through there, that it's a viable, busy spot of the community. We're hoping that it might deter them from keep going back. And we want to take that trail as well from the bottom side of the pond across through that triangle that goes across from the dairy bar and connect it all the way to Green Shore. So the idea is that if you're someone who's staying at the hotel at Credit Union Place, you could walk down the Confed Trail, you could walk down all the way down to the ice pond, all the way down to Green Shore and loop all the way back up to your hotel room. and it would make a very nice walking trail and a nice connect that whole area. And we're thinking if it's all opened up and it's a busier trail, we would have a way to try and slow down or move the homeless out of there, where they wouldn't be so obviously secreted behind there. So Trent and I have discussed this and kind of looked at that a couple ways. I did talk to Helen, and Helen is here tonight, and she has given us permission and to partnership on her land to do that. I've also talked to McQuaid as well, because in order to get it back up to the Confed Trail, we only have two options. We either have to go up and down from the missionary store and go back down to the Greenwood Drive and connect it to the bike lane, or we can go up to McQuaid's new subdivision and connect it as an opening in the subdivision that has a nature trail going through it, which he's interested in. He's interested in having it come up into his subdivision so that people could go through the subdivision. I mean, I don't care either way. I just want to have a way to have a nice, viable trail that the community can use that's connected, and it makes it all one nice system, as opposed to having a trail at the pond and then the Confed Trail and then a trail down at Green Shore. It just connects the whole thing together. And so this is what we're looking at going down from the ice pond. We're looking at, and I'm not sure where that property is right now, but that property would be nice to have a couple trees in there, some picnic tables, some gardens, and then that would make it a bit of a nature park below the pond, and then you'd have the pond, and then you would have the trail that would go up along the stream, and to give it a nice kind of a green space for the city of Summerside, the residents, to enjoy. And this is my last slide for this. So we do a lot of work in Summerside. We have a lot of ideas. We have a lot of ideas going forward that we want to enhance and build it all connect together. We do want to partner with you guys. We want to partner with the community members. But this is all the funding that Summerside gives us every year, $2,500. So $2,500 is not going to build a trail. It's not going to fix the duck pond. So we need to find a way that we can partner with you guys so that we can get this done, and we can find some way, either through funding applications or something, that we can partner and have this become a reality, because we can't do it on that. And we're just a small not-for-profit, so we have to look at our other programs and stuff that we have, but majority of our stuff is in Summerside. So we would like to be able to find a way to build this partnership, through Trent, through Helen McDonald, through the landowners, and through City Council, and get some of these programs and funding opportunities ahead. And I think, so this is the ice pond today. So we did a cleanup, and we were back, and today we found a whole bag full of drug paraphernalia, which my staff, unbeknownst to me, took to the cops, which is fine, but did you take it, or did?
No, we took it.
Okay, good. I just don't want my young staff having it, so I guess Dave and them took it. But basically, and right now they're building another big, huge structure. Like at one point they had stolen all of the material from the missionary store and actually built a mini house in there, like a mini cabin that we had to tear down and take down to Wellington, and then we had to fight with Wellington because it was prime building materials. Prime building, and they're like, this is good building materials. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what's on it for residue. I don't know. So they finally took it, but it seems to be like we're spinning our wheels trying to keep them out of there. So we need to find some way going forward that we can make some kind of plan to try and target this. And I know you guys have, the city has multiples of these all over the city. But this is an opportunity where we can maybe target this and make some kind of nice trail and some kind of enhancement that not just community members, but visitors to the city of Summerside can enjoy as well. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Tracy. And David, I guess I'll open the floor to members of council for questions and comments. Councilor Madhu?
Yeah, great presentation, Tracy, and really opens your eyes. Some of these photos that you see here, I never realized. I heard there was some in there, but I never realized that part of it. And Yeah, it is an issue. But I also, you had mentioned down by the lookout, by the duck pond, I call it. I got pictures of that duck pond here from 2 or 3 years ago, and it was beautiful. And there was a couple of big storms come in. There was one storm come in, and it blew the mouth of it right out there, right? And that,
Yeah, that's a Bereswab pond, so it's made
Yeah.
to come and go.
Yeah, okay. So, but yeah, I have a great picture of it when it's all filled up there, and it was great. But yeah, it changes all the time, right? So and you know, as for funding, we have a budget process, and we look at it, but we will certainly take this presentation into mind, and we'll be discussing it, so thanks.
Tracy and David, thank you very much. A lot of really good information. I don't want to give you just lip service and whatever. I'm wondering, the $2,500 that you speak of, have you put any dollars or any thought, and I'm just asking it very quickly, but have you put anything in thought around what do you see or observe could really help? Like, is it human resources? Is it policing? Is it constant surveillance? Like what do you see? And I know Helen is here, and I know there's been a lot of frustration there for you, Helen, but around that money, what do you see that money being spent on?
I think it would be a combination, like human resources, like I have talked to Department of Environment, and they have said we could probably, under BEMA's watershed permit, we could go out and do this trail. So our thing would be, you know, some of our staff, but we need people that can run like bigger equipment, like some of Trent's staff or EDA workers or something like that to help us actually, because as you go through there, there is a lot of dead wood, and the fear we have is what they're doing in there is they're burning the plastic off to get the copper wire. And at one point in time, you're going to end up with a fire that's going to go straight up there because it's just all dead wood. And we were in there now. There's 3 or 4 big bonfire pits where they were doing this over the winter, which, you know, decreases the risk. But they were in there the other day. We saw people like in there stripping wire and getting ready to burn it again. And so it's kind of a combination. Like every time, and we feel bad because every time we're in there, we have to call the cops. There's someone to come in and round them out. The problem is they round them up, they send them on their way, and then 3 days later, if it's not them, it's someone else, right? So we feel like we're constantly calling the cops on them to try and I mean, I have no problem calling the cops. I just feel like that's not the best use of their resources as well, right? And so, we almost need to sit down with Trent and maybe the city workers and try and come up with some kind of plan to try and find a way to target this straight on in different areas for sure.
Okay, and just thank you very much for everything that you do. And I can see by the pictures that Summerside is certainly a recipient. And it's appreciated very much, and you do a lot of great work. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Just to, I guess, echo everyone else, the presentation was great. Some very eye-opening things. Some things that I think I was mostly aware of, but some, like I said, very eye-opening, including the encampment photos. I have one comment, one question. The comment is around the pollinator gardens that you guys do. I live very close to Wedgwood Manor. I see residents out there all the time enjoying that, and not only residents from Wedgwood Manor, there's many people who walk that street, whether that be other seniors, the kids from the daycares close by, just residents in general, and a lot of people stop and notice that, which at first I would walk by and wonder what was going on, and then when you see all the flowers, it looks great, and many people around are very appreciative of that. My question is, when you talked about the body of water that I guess Bruce referred to as a duck pond, and said the change between 2023 and now with the construction there, Is that change something that you think is like a quote-unquote normal change with the construction, or was that a bigger change than you expected with the approved construction in that area?
Oh, it was a much bigger change.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that place is, like, the amount of sediment, because we have, and I don't know, has anyone seen the video of the drone shot of the open landscape up there with just sediment running off and dirt blowing everywhere? Now, the only place that's going to go is into the water course, and it's going to go into the estuary. So a lot of that water course is now infilled. And that's why we are kind of discussing with Trent, because we may have to go in there and do some dredging to get it back out again, because going in and planting trees is going to be one thing, but you need to find a way to get the water course back into its original path. Like right now, it's blocked off to the point it's not a stream anymore. It's like a wetland marsh. And the ducks and stuff that we're used to living in there are not there at the moment.
Okay, that's great to know. As a council, we have contacted the Minister of Environment to ask for more clarification on that area specifically. So it's good to have your guys' perspective as well, and we're just waiting to hear back about that as well. So thank you.
Any further comments from council? Seeing none, I just have a couple. Thanks, Tracy and David, and all the volunteers, and the ones in the pictures and the ones who aren't, who put their time and energy into helping protect pieces of our community and the broader watershed. Clearly from the presentation, I think it's a good reminder that BEMA is so much more than just a watershed protection group. Obviously the community impact and the connection with all of the different aspects that you're doing, I think, is really incredible. So thank you for all of that. I have two quick questions. One is just is very pragmatic, which is, what is the best way for people to stay engaged or aware of the activities that BEMA is undertaking?
Right now, I think, like say, we have a lot of social media. I think this year we're going to put a lot of more push into like community on the ground enhancement and outreach opportunities. I think we do a lot with youth. And we do a lot with the seniors, and I think we need to find the middle-age crowd in the middle and start targeting them as well, because you can easily get a school group out, and the seniors just want to be involved back in community, so they're ready to sign up for anything. It's the busy family, mother, father, working man in the middle that we're going to be targeting to try and get them out to these summit community events.
Okay, great, awesome. Yeah, and so anything that you're doing that we can help with would obviously be, we'd love to do.
Oh, absolutely. Anyway, you guys can help us promote our activities or let people know that they can sign up and show up here, because I mean, we have a social media and stuff, but sometimes the city of Summerside gets far more hits than we're going to get on our social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's great to know. And then the second is on the trail concept. I just want to say that I love the trail concept. I loved the trail concept before. We had these repeated concerns with encampments throughout the community. We have a watershed that ideally could loop all the way around the city. So if there is an opportunity maybe for council to take this back and to work with BEMA to look at how we could work together to make that happen, and obviously Helen would have to be a part of it crossing her land. So yes, potentially you're going to move some of the encampment issues. The reality is we'll just move them elsewhere. We'll just see this picture somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that is a bigger challenge, and I know we've talked about that. But the opportunity as well to open that up and to bring people through that water course and connect the new McQuaid subdivision there, and then the trail, really is, I think, a huge opportunity. And if BEMA's interested in leading that, I'm sure we could bring up with council on how we can support and what we could try and do to make that happen.
Yeah, like we've had conversations with Helen McDonald and McQuaid and with Trent, and I said, like, we're willing to, if we can partner up and have someone that provides the labor, the mechanical stuff that we're going to need, because obviously we don't have a bobcat and some of that work is going to have to be done, but we can definitely work with you on direction, on doing the back end planting, and even on working on opportunities to find funding out there, because there is funding that will fund these kind of projects for sure. The only problem is you need like a grant that's usually partnered up with the big municipality or something to say that they're on board. So yeah, we're definitely willing to work that way.
Yeah, and if that gets Trent to do, does he have a Bobcat? I don't know if Trent has, he's here. Like, maybe this is all part of.
Okay, so you need to buy Trent a Bobcat?
Yeah, I see. So, all right, okay, well, anyway, we can follow up, but I think it would be, I'd certainly love to see if we can make something like that happen here. Councilor Duran?
Yeah, sorry, Tracy, you had just mentioned, prior to, Mayor Dan making his comments, just your whole social media presence and who you're trying to target, and just as a comment, we took the kids a couple weekends ago to the Rivers to the Sea, I think, at Linkletter.
Oh, yes, our Ocean Week
Yeah,
event.
that was awesome, and, you know, you had every hip waders, size 1 to 12, so there was no excuse not to be able to get in and go in, and it was awesome, and they didn't want to leave, and it was tough to leave, and so that was great. So just wanted to give you that feedback and let you know that the social media presence is working. So that's how we were sort of made aware of it, so.
Yeah, we've got,
You're reaching people, and
we've
that's
got
good.
some nice new coordinators, some young technique coordinators that come on and with 2 assistants that are quite techie this year. So they've been really kind of putting the lead on getting the word out there and all the new, QR codes and all this stuff. They've got a whole bunch of ideas. So, yeah.
It was awesome. It was really fun. And it was a great day for it, or a great evening for it. So it was, it's awesome.
Yeah, actually, they were worried because you guys lucked out with weather because it was supposed to be like pouring rain or
perfect.
something. Yeah,
It was awesome.
it was a beautiful night, yeah.
Great,
Don't
well, oh, go ahead, Bruce.
Just don't forget to buy your rubber ducky tickets.
Oh, that's right. Every one of you should be buying your rubber ducky tickets. That's right. That's our big fundraiser. Well, and
Right.
we're having, I don't know, we'll be promoting it soon, but we're having a big family fun day. It's kind of changed this year because the Lobster Carnival has done a bit of a swing. So we're actually having our own family fun day in kind of on our pond on the same day. And remember how they used to do the cardboard boat races? So what we have is we have river rafting tubes that are 4 foot by 5 foot that are rubber duckies. So you're going to have to get on, you're going to get on the tube, you're going to paddle to the other side of the pond, you're going to grab a 4 foot blow up ducky, and then you got to rescue and get it back to the shore on the other side. So that's how we're replacing the cardboard boat races this year. But we have face painting and we have activities and everything. So it's basically a rubber ducky BEMA family day going on July the 18th.
July 18th.
18th, yep.
Okay, great, that's wonderful to know, and I will sponsor Bruce's participation. Personally.
Bruce can show them how to paddle the big ducky boat. Yeah.
Were you going to have a time that you could take us back in there to show us
Yes.
what it's like?
Yeah, so I was talking to Helen, and McQuaid was interested as well, to actually go in and maybe do a walkthrough of what is going on now and see where the homeless have cut the trail and get an idea of what it potentially could look like. So I think we're looking to pick a time with Trent, and Dan might be interested, but anyone else is interested, we're going to invite you guys if you want to come through. And so that way we can all walk at once and get an idea of what could be for this trail.
That's great, so we can coordinate that, perhaps Sander through Trent, and then we can get that information out to council for those who are able to make it.
That would be great, yeah.
Awesome, great. Well, thank you, thanks for the presentation and all the work, obviously, that you do for our community. Makes a big difference.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. The council will now move on to item 4B, petition sidewalk crosswalk installation Water Street East. I think this is Councillor Adams has a petition. Councillor, do you want to read the header of the petition?
Sure. Thank you, Worship. Petition to Summerside City Council. Considering the ever-expanding Starlight subdivision and the increasing traffic entering Summerside, residents cannot safely access the sidewalk on the south side of Water Street East. We, the undersigned, respectfully request the City of Summerside to provide a sidewalk on the north side of Water Street East, beginning at the entrance to Starlight Street, continuing to the stoplight at Water Street East and Hillside Drive. Further to this, the undersigned requests the installation of an adequate crosswalk mechanism whereby a pedestrian can safely cross Water Street East. And that's signed by some of the residents. And I had also sent along letters to council from Brian McFeely, Susan Glant, and David Weintraub.
Thank you, Counselor. So now I just entertain a motion to move and second to receive the petition and receive the petition, submit it to the clerk, suggestion to refer to the CAO for review and then report back to council. So moved, Councillor Adam. Just a motion to submit that. So seconded, Councillor Morrison. Great. So the petition will be submitted to the clerk, and then it will head to the CAO and then report back to council based on the contents of the submission of the petition.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. At this point, we'll move on to ad hoc committees. There was a discussion at the last couple of council meetings or committee of the whole meetings to form two of these ad hoc committee meetings. I just wanted to confirm the names, and then we'll obviously introduce a resolution with a brief mandate at our upcoming, at our next meeting. For the Ad hoc Transit Review Committee, I have at this point Councillor Trenholm, Councillor McDougall, Councillor Snow. Any other members of council interested in sitting on the Ad hoc Transit Review Committee? Okay. The next I have is the Street Naming Committee, B, which I have Councillor Cameron and Councillor Adams. Okay, any additional names or no names? Okay, that's great. So what I'll do now is then we'll appoint Councillor Trenholm, McDougall, and Snow to the Ad hoc Transit Review Committee to be confirmed by council, and the same appoint Councillor Cameron and Councillor Adams to the Street Naming Review Committee as well to be confirmed by council. I think at least on the street naming one, that should be a relatively quick process. So it might even be done by the time you're formally appointed. All right, great. Okay, thanks, council. Look forward to seeing the great work from those two groups. I will move on to item 6, the introduction and reading of bylaws and resolutions. We have a handful. We'll start with Councillor McColman on resolution COS 26-028. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. It was moved by myself, Councillor McColman, seconded by Councillor Rick Morrison, whereas City Council wishes to amend the summer 2026 meeting schedule. Be it resolved that pursuant to CS-2 procedural bylaw, the Committee of the Whole meeting scheduled for August 4th, 26 is hereby cancelled, and the summer 2026 meeting schedule is hereby amended accordingly.
Thank you, Councillor. So resolution COS 26-028, moved by Councillor McColman, second by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? From members of the public, just a bit of an FYI, this item, as well as a number of the resolutions on here tonight, were discussed at length at the last committee of the whole meeting, as is our regular process. Seeing no lights, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor McColman. We'll now move on to item B, resolution COS 26-029. Councillor Duran.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Resolution COS 26-029 was moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Nick Cameron. Whereas Sukh Singh Dillon is requesting council approval in accordance with section 13 of the licensing bylaw CS21 to operate a mobile sales establishment, Little Singh, at 674 Water Street East in the New City Plaza property. And whereas section 13 of the licensing bylaw provides that council shall allow or refuse an application based on the following considerations: safety, desirability, impact on established businesses in the city, public convenience, and such other considerations as it deems appropriate. Be it resolved that council grants approval to Sukh Singh Dillon to operate a mobile sales establishment, Little Singh, at 674 Water Street East. The license is subject to the following conditions: paying a license fee of $500 for a local business as per licensing bylaw CS21 regulations. Special events require written approval of the event organizer submitted to the city 3 days in advance. An approved food premises license is issued by the province. Litter disposal containers are provided on site. Hours and days of operation are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Sunday. Connection of any pipe, hose, etc. to city utilities, electrical, water, sewer, or storm requires city approval. The vendor is responsible for the removal of wastewater and grease from their respective collection tanks via a contracted service, and all conditions set out by the property owner. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting of June 2nd, 2026.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 26-029, moved by Councillor Duran, second by Councillor Cameron, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? If not, I will call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Duran, back over to you with the next one.
Resolution COS 26-030, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rick Morrison. Whereas an application was received from Paul Gover to build an accessory building at 43 Glover's Shore Road, and whereas Section 8.4 of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw requires accessory buildings be set back a minimum of 2 meters or 6.6 feet from any lot lines or buildings, and whereas the applicant is requesting a 40% variance to the aforementioned minimum setback, decreasing the setback to 1.2 meters or 4 feet from the side and rear lot lines and the main dwelling. And whereas Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw allows for a variance to be granted after council has considered the following tests. A, that the hardship is due to unique physical conditions of the lot or property, including small lot size, irregular lot shape, existing building location on the property, or exceptional topographical conditions, which make it impractical to develop in strict conformity with bylaw standards. Exceptional topographical conditions may include but are not limited to trees, slope of the land, etc. B, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the official plan. C, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the zone. And D, that the proposed variance would not impact negatively on adjacent properties or on the essential character of the surrounding neighborhood, including taking into consideration any comments from neighbors. Be it resolved, the council grants a 40% variance to the minimum setback for the proposed accessory building at 43 Glover's Shore Road, decreasing the accessory building's setback to 1.2 meters or 4 feet from the rear and side lot lines and the main dwelling. This application bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting of June 2nd, 2026.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 26-030, moved by Councillor Duran, second by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor Duran. And with that, we'll move to Councillor McDougall, Chair of Finance, for the next two. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a couple of resolutions here. First one, COS 26-031, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rick Morrison. Whereas the Vulnerable Populations Community Grant has been established to provide financial assistance to nonprofit organizations dedicated to serving vulnerable individuals within the City of Summerside, and whereas the Finance Committee has reviewed the applications received and recommend to Council funding for organizations and community groups that provide food, security, meals, and other direct supports to vulnerable members of our community. And whereas the Vulnerable Populations Grant is available to registered nonprofit organizations and may also be used to assist organizations with costs associated with obtaining registered nonprofit status. Be it resolved that the Council approve Vulnerable Populations Community Grant funding in the amount of $2,500 each to the following recipients. 1, Summerside Community Fridge for the purchase of groceries for community fridges. 2, Summerside Presbyterian Church to support weekly Thursday lunches for students. 3, Summerside Y Service Club to support weekly food box programs for members of the on-house community. 4, Trinity United Church to support food boxes, hot meals for shut-ins, and Saturday breakfast programs. And 5, The Hungry Mosquito, a community group seeking a nonprofit status to support the provision of packed lunches and bottled water for members of the on-house community. This resolution is made upon the recommendation of the Finance Committee meeting held on May 19th, 2026.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Resolution COS 26-031 is on the floor, moved by Councillor McDougall, second by Councillor Morrison. Comments, questions from members of council? Councillor Adams?
I just had a quick question. The Hungry Mosquito one, a community group seeking nonprofit status. I thought before we had waited until they had nonprofit status before we included them.
This is to assist them to get it.
Oh, okay. So it's
To
to
get their
assist
status.
them to get their status.
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
I got
Correct,
you.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, I was gonna, that was my next part. I was gonna say, what can we do to help them get
Yeah.
that? Okay, perfect, thank you.
Great.
Thank you, council. No further questions. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Councilor McDougall, back to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. My next resolution is Resolution COS 26-032, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Rick Morrison. Whereas Council approved the Affordable Housing Incentive Program on August 19th, 2019, and subsequently approved a revised program effective March 18, 2024, which remains open for applications. And whereas Arsenault Harding Investments, Inc., has applied under the Affordable Housing Incentive Program for a 14-unit apartment building now under construction at 274 Water Street, formerly the Scotiabank Building. And whereas the Affordable Housing Incentive Program provides a property tax grant based on the incremental municipal portion of the property taxes attributed to affordable housing units, with rebates of 90% in years 1 and 2, 75% in years 3 and 4, 60% in years 5 and 6, 45% in years 7 and 8, and 30% in years 9 and 10. And whereas the Affordable Housing Incentive Program further provides a rebate of 50% of regular building permit and off-regular building permit and development fees charged for new housing developments payable upon issuance of an occupancy permit. And whereas staff has reviewed the application and determined that the proposed development meets the eligibility requirements of the Affordable Housing Incentive Program, be it resolved that the city provide the applicable property tax grant and development and permit fee rebate to Arsenault Harding Investments, Inc., in accordance with the terms and conditions of the Affordable Housing Incentive Program. This resolution is made upon the recommendation of the Finance Committee at its meeting held on May 19th, 2026.
Thank you, Councilor. Resolution COS 26-032 is on the floor, moved by Councilor McDougall, second by Councilor Morrison. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Councilor Cameron.
Yep, I just have a quick thing for maybe us to flag as council. I think, this is great. We should be moving forward with it. However, on the bottom of this building is a restaurant, a business of some sort. I think perhaps we should be looking at the program that we have offered to maybe think a little outside the box when it comes to some of that building being commercial space as well. That being said, I would not change a single thing about what is currently in front of us, but just maybe something that we should flag and look at. I know we've changed some criteria with that program before, so just something to think about going forward as well.
The commercial assessment will not be included in the
Perfect.
calculation.
Well, then that
Just-
is great.
just
Then
the
I don't think we
affordable.
need to look at anything.
That's great. Thank you, Councilor Cameron and members of council. Councilor McDougall, no further comments, questions, statements. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councilor McDougall. At this point, we'll move on to F, G, and H. Councilor McColman, moving forward, second reading of the Code of Conduct bylaw.
Thank you, Your Worship. Whereas amendments to the Municipal Government Act Code of Conduct Regulations approved by Lieutenant Governor, I'll just go back a bit. It was moved by myself, Councillor McColman, and seconded by Councillor Carrie Adams. And the Municipal Government Act Code of Conduct Regulations approved by the Lieutenant Governor in Council dated February 28th, 23, require municipalities to update their Code of Conduct bylaws for compliance. And whereas the City of Summerside's Code of Conduct bylaw CS-3 requires amendment to comply, and whereas Council deems it advisable to repeal and replace Code of Conduct bylaw number CS-3 in its entirety with a new bylaw that incorporates required amendments. Be it resolved that bylaw CS 26-02 being a bylaw to set expectations for the behavior of members of council in carrying out their functions and making decisions that benefit the city of Summerside, and intended to replace Code of Conduct Bylaw CS-3, and all amendments thereto be hereby read a second time.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 26-033, moved by Councillor McCollum, second by Councillor Adams. On the floor, further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Please, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Councillor McCollum, back to you.
Resolution number 26-034, moved by myself, Councillor McCollum, seconded by Councillor Carrie Adams. Whereas amendments to the Municipal Government Act Code of Conduct Regulations approved by the Lieutenant Governor and Council dated February 28, 2023 require municipalities to update their Code of Conduct bylaws for compliance. And whereas the City of Summerside's Code of Conduct bylaw number CS-3 requires amendment to comply. And whereas bylaw CS-26-02, being a bylaw to set expectations for the behavior of members of council in carrying out their functions and making decisions that benefit the city of Summerside, and intended to replace Code of Conduct bylaw CS-3, and all amendments thereto, was read a second time at this council meeting. Be it resolved that bylaw CS-26-02, Code of Conduct bylaw, be hereby approved as being read a second time at this council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 26-034, moved by Councillor McCollum, second by Councillor Adams, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from council? Seeing, hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Councillor McCollum, back to you.
The final one, Your Worship and Council. Resolution number COS 2635-35, moved by Councillor Nick Cameron, seconded by Councillor Norma McCollum. Whereas amendments to the Municipal Government Act Code of Conduct Regulations approved by the Lieutenant Governor in Council dated February 28, 2023, require municipalities to update their Code of Conduct bylaws for compliance. And whereas Council deems it advisable to repeal and replace Code of Conduct bylaw number CS-3 in its entirety with a new bylaw that incorporates the required amendments, bylaw CS-26-02, Code of Conduct bylaw. And whereas bylaw CS-26-02 was read and formally approved at 2 separate meetings of council held on different days. Be it resolved that bylaw CS-26-02, Code of Conduct bylaw, be hereby formally adopted.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 26-035, moved by Councillor Cameron, seconded by Councillor McCollum, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, council. Thank you, councillor. And for members of the public who are watching, the members of council speaking tonight are also the chairs of respective committees. Councillor McCollum is chair of Bylaw Governance Committee, Councillor McDougall is chair of Finance, and Councillor Duran as chair of Planning Board. That was everyone, right? Yep. We'll move into department reports here at 6:41 p.m. We're taking right along, and I won't jinx us. So, but I will start. I guess I start now. 7A, the mayor's report. Still trying to figure out how to format this the best, but quick list for members of council, members of the public, in terms of notable stakeholder meetings and events over the course of the last couple of weeks. I'm just going to go through them, and then if there's any further comments or questions from obviously members of council, you can reach out to me anytime on any one of the discussions, and members of the public as well. So a series of stakeholder meetings this month, the Building Trades Council, the College of Piping Board of Directors, SYS, the Summerside Yacht Club, the St. Eleanor's Lions Club. Again, just most of these are at outside of City Hall. These are all on location. Summerside Minor Hockey, Salvation Army, both the food bank program and the lunch program, and discussions for a couple hours at the Salvation Army. The Classic Cars team, that starts July 3rd. Not this Friday, next Friday. Friday after that. Just look it up. Don't trust me. Trust Councilor McColman. Whatever she said was right. Downtown transformation discussion, again with Downtown Summerside, Explore Summerside, and community stakeholders. Phenomenal lunch with 2 kindergarten students from Elm Street. As one of the prizes at Elm Street for the Environmentathon is a lunch with the mayor. It's not the best prize, I don't think, from the students' perspective, but they enjoy it. I think riding on the CAPS bus around Summerside is the big ticket. Twinning City filming and meetings with Golf PEI Executive Director and sitting in on the report of the David Campbell's Jupe consultant report on the impact of golf tourism here in PEI. And then with respect to speaking events through in and around the city, and a number of members of council have been at these as well. The Parkview Seniors Club's 50th anniversary. There also is a tree planting for a tree the city donated in a couple of weeks. The downtown cleanup and Open City, and I know Councillor McDougall, Councillor McColman, Councillor Snow, Councillor Morrison and I picked up a whole bunch of stuff, and he put up with my kids not being as enthusiastic as we were. To speak at the Rotary President's Dinner, sat on a panel for the Governor General's Canadian Leadership Conference, along with Jody Sentner from the Shelter and Chad Mann, formerly CEO of ADL. We launched the Peace Run during the same time as the Evermore 5-miler, and I think, Councillor Cameron, you were running. Were you running in the 5-miler? Okay, because I was watching people running by. I was like, it's a bit awkward watching people when they've been running for a while. Anyway, the Salon de Livre opening, incredible event, the second biggest Francophone event here in PEI. So happy to have that back here in Summerside. Open Doors Summerside, which was the BIPOC BPN economic strategy release and event. SIS Book Day, which was just the other day, and this afternoon was the Connections to Employment AGM. All fantastic organizations doing good things in our community, and a lot of stakeholders with making significant contributions, but also trying to find more ways to partner with the city of Summerside to benefit all the people we share the community with. So that is my mayor's report. It's not written down, so it just gets presented orally here. And I guess I could have used AI, but Mayor Brown doesn't have his data center bill yet. So with that, I will hand it over to Councillor McDougall, Chair of Finance Committee and Representative of Finance.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a report here by Kristen McDonald, our director. Good evening, colleagues and City Council and business residents of the City of Summerside. We're preparing for our external auditors, Dolan Grant Thornton LLP, to come on site for our annual audit. Our preliminary results project a small surplus of for 2025-26 in the general fund. Per section 175(1) of the Municipal Government Act, the municipality shall provide the government of PEI a copy of our audited financial statement and auditor's report no later than October 15th. Our utility accounts receivable overdue amount has changed slightly since disconnections for non-payment have resumed after the winter season, but this is mainly due to changes owing by telecommunication companies that are delinquent in transferring wiring from electric poles that are to be removed. Residential greater than 60 days past due has decreased from 46,500 in April to 16,800 in June. Customers receiving collection notices are strongly encouraged to contact financial services to bring their accounts into good standing. The status of the utility accounts receivable as of June 8, 2026 is attached to this report. Applications are still being received for the Vulnerable Population Grant Program and can be submitted by email to kristen@summerside.ca. Up to $2,500 can be awarded per initiative. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you,
Councillor
Councillor McDougall. Any questions for Councillor McDougall? Seeing hearing none right now, we will move on to C, Community Services and Tourism Representative, Councillor Trenholm. Councillor Trenholm is not here tonight. Councillor McCollum's got her light on. I'm assuming she's reading it in. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do know that Councillor Ken Trenholm is listening. He is out of province, but he's listening online. I'd like to thank Acting Operations Manager Chantal Delaney for preparing the report this evening. During May, our department has been working hard to get our parks, green spaces, facilities, and programs ready for the summer season. Seasonal staff have been hired, program registration and information has been launched, and our teams have hit the ground running to get major projects underway quickly, with some aiming for completion prior to the official start to summer. The properties at Credit Union Place will be drawing crowds for upcoming summer sports and events. The team is organizing for a busy season and looking forward to seeing community out and about enjoying these spaces, programs, and events this summer. The full report can be found below as part of the meeting package, so I'll just do a few highlights. And I do want to thank all of the city staff. I know that as mayor and council, we're involved in different things, but I really think when we're so dependent on economic development, sporting events, and tourism, people in the community, I think our frontline staff from all of the departments, they do a great job, and I just want to say thank you to them, because they really truly are ambassadors for the city of Summerside in how they interact with the community and residents and visitors. So operational report detail in active living, Active Living had a strong turnout for spring programming such as soccer, baseball, crafts at the park, beach volleyball. Preparations for the annual Shipwrights Run, there's approximately 100 plus participants. New registration software has helped streamline the process, and the finishing touches on Summer Fun campaign at Leger Park, full lineup of daily programs and canteen operations. As well, Summerside Dome and Fields of Play, wrapping up the fall and winter bookings. They are also hosting many baseball teams and birthdays, preparing to host the Boys and Girls Club summer camps, which is a very busy time. Ballpark renovations continue to move forward, and you can really see that progressing daily. Confederation Bridge and the Aquatic Center, spring swimming lessons continued, reviewing summer session plans. New pool toys were added, replaced, and some school groups came for their year-end field trips. In the areas of parks and green spaces, construction buildings for the splash pads at Errol Thompson and Lafergie Parks are underway, working at the electrical hookups this week. Nearing completion of the new dog park, water line, driveway, and pad for the new building are done while working on fencing and the new building. Installed also are new beds along Heather Moyse Drive for lupin planting and hosted tree planting at Rotary Friendship Park on May 23rd. As far as sets, there's some very good information. 2026 Centennial Cup was hosted during the month of May, an exciting 2 weeks in our city celebrating sport tourism. Noah Dobson's Hockey Fest is next up June 19th through the 21st, with the largest event yet at 167 teams, with the goal of raising $30,000 for adults with intellectual disabilities. Planning continues for Canada Day festivities July 1st and both baseball nationals in August, along with the Tri-Lobster Triathlon. In the marina and curling complex area, registration for seasonal docks has been launched. Most seasonals are now registered and hired recently a junior sailing instructor and launching registration this week. Finally, the meetings and conventions segment of our report, 61 convention room bookings, including Centennial Cup operations, the Asian Heritage celebrations, and some of our regular client bookings, as well as at the Island Petroleum Energy Center and Turk Gallant. There was at the Energy Center hosted Centennial Cup from May 17th and onward, and I don't have any more of that report, but it was a very busy time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McColeman. We'll now move on to D, Governance, HR, and Legal Services Representative, Councillor McColman. You're back up.
Nobody has to sing. Okay, I'd like to thank Director Kendra Gunn for the Human Resources and Legal Services report. Current employment postings include a semi-skilled laborer, a geographic information system, and computer-aided design foreman, swim instructors, and lifeguards. The competition processes are underway for a business modernization coordinator, business retention and expansion officer, and building officer. We'd also like to congratulate Rick Wall, who was promoted to an equipment operator. Gurpreet Kaur was a successful candidate for the part-time dispatcher. Cadets through the police sponsorship program, Corey Gallant and Maxime Bartlett, have started their on-the-job training with Summerside Police Services. The selection process is underway for volunteer firefighters. Leah Okel has been hired as a junior sailing instructor at the Summerside Marina, and Angela Torres has been hired as seasonal events and programming staff member with Culture Summerside. Staff attended monthly joint occupational safety and health committee meetings and attended the annual Workers' Compensation Board Safety Conference. First aid training was provided to seasonal and summer student staff, while staff attended the National Payroll Institute Conference. The Staff Appreciation Barbecue and Long Service Awards will be held on June 17th, and I believe that's on the grounds of Culture Summerside. Plans are being made for a staff family fun day. The department liaised with the city's medical health plan provider on a number of staff inquiries. Staff liaised with the city's pension plan custodian to address inquiries from staff and pensioners. As well, the final point, department staff continue to support all city departments with staffing, labor relations, human resources and legal issues, policy drafting, and bylaw interpretation. And I see our busy analyst is here tonight, Lindsay, and worked with external legal counsel on a variety of legal matters, including drafting and reviewing contracts and leases and supporting civil claims and IRAC appeals. And that concludes the report from Human Resources Legal Services. Do you want a song?
Sure. If you're going to offer a song, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Councillor McColman, thank you very much, and thank you for covering Councillor Trenholm's report as well. Now call on Councillor Morrison, representative for Municipal Services. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Works, Water and Sewer Utilities highlights. Roadway maintenance has begun this month on the main collector roads of the city and will be finished in total by the end of July. Driveway culvert repairs have begun this month, and residents are reminded, if heaves of 4 inches or more are present, to contact our main desk for evaluation for a possible repair. And that number at the front desk is 902-432-1268. Crosswalk refreshment markings have started this month, with all school crossings currently completed and now moving on to high traffic volume streets. A demonstration of highly durable product markings has been completed for the crosswalk at McCune Road and Wright intersection to test a new product and its application over the next winter season. Electric utility highlights include the new generator project work is well underway for the engineering estimate of cost, along with evaluating environmental sensitivity. The outcome of reports on cost and environmental reviews is to be presented to Council in September. In the coming month, a concerted effort will be made to remove duplicate poles where possible in the community. A projected 30-plus poles are being removed with an already 24 removed this month. And in a good news story, the refurbishment of engine number 5 has been assessed and will be proceeding for a complete overhaul for reliability coming into this winter. After assessment, it needed less work as condition of engine was better than expected for its 1960 age. And there's nothing wrong with those 1960 models, let me tell you. In closing, I would just like to thank Director Greg Goody for his report.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. We'll move on to Arts, Culture, and Diversity Representative, Councillor Cameron. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to thank Director Laurie Ellis for the following report that captures highlights of Culture Summerside's activities from mid-May to mid-June. The Summerside Arts Fest, which is currently underway, is a celebration of creativity running from June 8th to July 4th in Summerside, PEI. The festival includes hands-on workshops, live musical performances, art demonstrations, and community art projects. Everyone is invited to get involved, and the festival is made possible through many, many partnerships. The Old Fashioned Carnival is happening on Friday, June 19th, which is this Friday, from 4 to 7 p.m. Any councillors looking to become involved in the delivery of this community event are invited to contact Laurie Ellis at Culture Summerside. 2026 Summerside Raceway Days are hosted at the Credit Union Place and Red Shores from July 15th to the 18th. The dynamic 4-day celebration is a signature event that blends the vibrant energy of Lobster Carnival with the long-standing heritage of harness racing in Summerside. Event schedules are posted online and delivery details are still being organized. 150th anniversary of Summerside Harness Racing. The City of Summerside, in partnership with the Government of Canada, Red Shores Raceway, the Prince County Horsemen's Club, the PEI Harness Racing Industry Association, are delivering a number of celebratory events that include, but are not limited to, a community art project and mural, a raceway historic booklet, historical reenactments, a celebration event with refreshments, and an art and photography exhibit. And you can see Culture Summerside's website for more information on the events and details. And upcoming in July, we have the Summerside Latino Festival. I think that is the second year. The Diversity Festival and Summerside Pride Walk and Barbecue. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. With that, we'll move on to Technical Services Representative, Councillor Durand. Councillor.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. The 2026 construction and capital project season is well underway. Most capital project tenders have now closed and been awarded, with a few still outstanding. Work will continue as the remaining projects are tendered. In May, 16 building permits were issued with a total value of just over $39.4 million, bringing the year-to-date total to 59 permits valued at $55 million. This included 1 commercial permit for a fit-up, 4 institutional permits, and within those, 2 were new buildings and 2 were mobile classrooms, and 1 sign permit. On the residential side, permits were issued for 2 semi-detached units, 2 additions or alterations, 2 decks, 2 demolitions, and 2 accessory buildings. Developers continue to connect with staff for guidance on their proposed projects, and this is also an ideal time for residents to seek assistance with any projects that they are planning for 2026. And I'd like to thank Director Aaron McDonald for preparing the report.
Thank you, Councillor Durand. With that, we'll move to Representative for Economic Development and Growth, Deputy Mayor Snow. I don't know if Deputy Snow asked any member of council to read in the economic development report. I don't see any lights going on, so we'll include that. That is included. The monthly report is included in the medium package for members of the public. And then we'll move on to Councillor Adams, who's got a few sheets of paper here. So Councillor Adams, representative for everything else, or everything. Emergency services, police, fire, and communications. Councillor.
I feel like Minister Hudson. Okay, so we, first of all, thank you to Ken Culleton for the fire service report. I wanted to, first off, before I get into the report, thank Danny Richard for calling to make sure that we all were aware of Doug Gallant, his retirement from the Summerside Fire Service after 35 years. And that's going to be held, Doug, Danny, and some of the other firefighters are organizing an event to celebrate that achievement on Saturday, June 20th, so this coming Saturday, 8 p.m. at the St. Elner's Lions Club. So I appreciate Danny and the fellow firefighters getting together to do that for them. During the month, firefighters responded to 27 calls. 2 were medical first responder calls, 23 were silent alarms, and 2 were general alarms. Firefighters trained for 79 hours in May. Recently completed the SCBA replacement program, so every air bottle now meets standards. Members of the Prince County Hospital staff participated in some safety training throughout the month. The fire service welcomed several visiting classes from daycare groups to high school students. Fire trucks are always a highlight for the students. Maybe the mayor just needs a fire truck for his prize at Elm Street. This month, and I said we had marked Doug's celebration for 35 years. And then on the back in the package, there's the Summerside Fire Department calls to date, broken down by the topic of the call. And next, I will go into police service if there's no other questions. So Chief Blackear submitted this report. May was a busy month with calls for service. On May 5th, members participated in the annual Red Dress Walk. May 22nd, they hosted 3 kindergarten classes from Elm Street. Students were given a tour of the police headquarters and got to meet K9 Lucy. On May 23rd, Deputy Chief Corus participated in the community cleanup and visited downtown businesses. Also during the month of May, members completed their annual pistol recertifications. I think, Norma, you had mentioned already, Gurpreet Kaur was taken on as a part-time dispatcher in partnership with the province. Preparations for the next gen 911 continued, and 2 days of collective bargaining were held with the police station, and the current collective bargaining agreement expired March 31st. The JET team is also marking its 1-year anniversary, and that has been very successful. It's comprised of members of Summerside Police, Kensington Police, and RCMP, and they're tasked with investigating mid to high-level drug trafficking across Prince Edward Island. In its first year, JET has charged 23 people, seized 8 kilograms of opium, 1.3 kilograms of cocaine, more than 1 kilogram of crystal meth, 140 grams of fentanyl, 1,100 hydromorphone pills, 15 firearms along with other weapons, tens of thousands of dollars in cash, and multiple articles of stolen property. The work of JET has made positive impacts across the province, and we look forward to the continuing success of that unit. And last but not least, communications and events, and this was prepared by Acting Director Tanner Duran. Thank you, Tanner. During May, the Comms Department remained active across a wide range of initiatives supporting city departments through recruitment campaigns, service updates, economic development initiatives, and community event promotion. Efforts included promoting volunteer firefighter recruitment, Canada festivities, lobster carnival, raceway days, and the upcoming Baseball Canada National Championships. Comms staff also completed an economic development advertising campaign for MDS coding and recognized several awareness initiatives throughout the month. Credit Union Place communications focused heavily on the successful hosting of the Centennial Cup, serving as a primary source of supplemental tournament content and updates. Staff also continued supporting Noah Dobson's Hockey Fest, highlighted by the announcement of a sold-out event, while maintaining promotion of Fit Stop programming and facility updates. Comms staff also continued to support emergency services communications and Summerside Police Service and the Fire Department through timely advisories, media relations, and event promotion, including National Police Week, Road Safety Week, the Law Enforcement Torch Run, Fun Run, and Emergency Preparedness Week initiatives. And the full report is in the package. And it goes without saying, we have a lot of construction going on, road construction in the city, but the comms group is always really good to have a list of what's open, what the status is with Greenwood and so on. So if anybody's wondering in the morning, they can just scroll on through the city's website and it's always updated. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Adams, and thank you, members of council. We'll now move into item staff report. We have one staff report here, the downtown transformation presentation. We have Lindsay and Mike coming up to walk us through a slide deck presentation. And I just thought if it's okay with council, I thought I'd take just a minute here before they get started. And I wanted to read a memo drafted a couple of years ago. It is 2 years to tomorrow that the City Council and the City of Summerside launched the Downtown Transformation Committee. That is over 365 times 2 is a number of days. And a lot of that work is culminating in the presentation tonight. But I was thinking a lot about this. This is obviously a big file for us as a community, but full disclosure, a big file for me as well. Personally, one of my cornerstone commitments to this community when I ran in the last election was to work to transform our downtown, to make sure that it is a place that continued to grow and thrive for all members of our community. And I set that out in a memo a couple years ago. Which I think is still really relevant and hopefully cues up the good work that's going to be presented here. Put simply, our downtown needs to be more fun. Our downtown must attract people to it and to each other. When you arrive downtown, you need to know it without being told. Once there, our downtown must be accessible and easy to walk around. It must be enjoyable to look at and interact with. Drawing on our unique history and heritage, natural resources, and cultural diversity, our downtown must reflect the individuality of our city and its people, respecting our past while adding to our future. The centrality, clustered activities, and heritage and diversity can make downtown Summerside an even more proud attraction point for residents and visitors to eat, drink, live, work, stay, and shop. We are partway there, but we need a big push to bring it all together. For over 100 years, downtown Summerside was the commercial and social centerpiece of our community. Over the past few decades, this has changed. The introduction of box stores, changing purchasing habits, an influx of non-commercially motivated businesses, uncoordinated public space and beautification initiatives, and a variety of other factors and patterns, both within and outside our control, have reshaped our downtown, and Summerside is not unique in that regard. There are positive indicators as well. New developments have begun in recent years. The city and the BIA investments have maintained a physical sense of place. New entrepreneurs have established sustainable and successful small businesses, and commercial office space has been developed. Community events and organizations have found new ways to use and imagine our historic downtown. So today, Summerside is at a crossroads. While several entrepreneurs, developers, policymakers have been holding together the possibility of our greater potential, they obviously should be commended and supported, and it's time to join them even more. It's time to capitalize on the moment of our recent growth and our track record as a city of being bold to deliver the resolve and a roadmap for the future transformation of Summerside's downtown. So I hope we're getting there towards getting that done. And with that, I'd love to introduce Lindsay and Mike to walk through the presentation this evening. Over to you two.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So tonight we're pleased to share the culmination of something that took real collaboration to build, a deep and honest review of the downtown and a framework for reinvestment that supports the private sector confidence this community has already earned, and a meaningful tribute to the 3 working groups that Council established who gave an extraordinary amount of time and energy to frame what downtown Summerside is capable of becoming. Tonight's not a final decision. Tonight is about your engagement as a council, as leaders, as advocates for the downtown that deserves our full commitment. We want to leave this room with your energy behind this conceptual plan, your belief that the next steps we're proposing are the right ones, and your readiness to carry that conviction forward when the full council is together to act on. As we work our way through what we're presenting tonight, you will see statistically, clearly, and defensively that downtown is at an inflection point. Not a point of exasperation, not a crisis that has overtaken us, a point of opportunity. One where the real and the right fiscal resources, the right investment model, and the right leadership structure can affect the kind of change this downtown deserves. Change that honors the confidence the private sector has already shown, that validates the extraordinary research and commitment those subcommittees brought forward, and that converts years of vision and groundwork into something real and tangible. The moment where momentum either builds or stalls, where the work has been done, either compounds into transformation or sits waiting for a decision that never quite arrives. Downtown Summerside cannot afford to stand still. Success does not sustain itself. A healthy and vibrant downtown is not a destination you arrive at and maintain on autopilot. It's a continuous commitment that has to be prioritized, resourced, and led with purpose. For the sake of the community, for the sake of the investors who've already placed their confidence here, and for the sake of the volunteers who gave their time because they believed downtown was worth fighting for, tonight is about making that commitment real. Every word that you see on that cloud represents a real conversation with business owners, property owners, partner organizations, and community members who care deeply about what this downtown can become. Tonight is not a decision. Tonight is where we make the case clearly, honestly, and with data to back it up. The work did not start with us. It started with council. As the mayor mentioned, in 2022, council set a term and a mandate to support the transformation of downtown. That mandate generated genuine community energy, 600 volunteer hours for people who gave their time because they believe this downtown is worth investing in. The Downtown Transformation Committee produced 31 recommendations across 3 working group categories. That's the foundation that what we're proposing tonight is built on. What happened next matters as context. In the winter of 2026, council looked to take those recommendations and direct EDO and others to kind of put some framework around those discussions and try and move them forward. As of March 2026, a roundtable surfaced. There was some confusion, misinformation about a bunch of things related to downtown, which helped kind of shape the narrative that we're going to present to you tonight. This plan was built to replace the confusion with facts, to take what the working groups identified, verify it statistically, and produce something actionable. Not another layer of a study, a plan of attack, grounded in evidence, shaped by community vision, and ready to move. Here's what the data showed us. These are not estimates. These are actual findings from a building level inventory of 56 properties across the BIA. The downtown commercial vacancy is 18%. The citywide rate is approximately 6%. The BIA is running at 3 times the citywide average. That is not a perception problem. That is a documented, measurable gap that demands a response. 80% of the vacancy is concentrated in just 7 buildings. 7. It's those 7 buildings are resolved, if the specific documented barriers preventing their occupancies are addressed, the BIA commercial vacancy rate falls to 3.5%. That is the optimal range for a healthy downtown. This is not a market-wide failure. It's a concentrated, identifiable, and still solvable problem. The distinction matters because it tells us exactly what kind of response is required. Not a broad program that spreads dollars thinly across the BIA, a targeted structure intervention focused on buildings, ownership patterns, driving the number. And the vacancy rate alone does not tell the full story. There is a meaningful difference between space that is technically occupied and a business that is genuinely active, customer-facing and generating foot traffic, contributing to the life on the street. What fits a space matters as much as whether the space is filled, and our plan tries to account for that. The table on this slide establishes the benchmarks, and I want to be precise of where we stand against them. A healthy BIA, as I mentioned, rate below 10%, where we're at 18, is 8 percentage points above healthy. The intervention threshold, a point with structured response is required, is above 15. We've obviously crossed that. The distress threshold, where the problem becomes systematic, the cost of recovery escalates dramatically, is above 20%. We're not there yet, but 18% to 20% is not a long distance, and it closes rather fast. This is the intervention window. It's open, and the question is whether we can act while it still is. Because if we don't, the trajectory is documented and predictable. buildings in poor condition will continue to deteriorate past the point where owners can afford to address them. Businesses that are on the fence to make the decision to leave. The energy and confidence that private investors have placed in downtown begins to erode, and at some point, not as far away as anyone would like to believe, the cost of recovery exceeds what's responsible government can justify spending. We're not at that point yet, but inaction at the next several meetings is how we get there. Downtown evolution does not pause while we deliberate. It moves in one direction or the other, and our job is to make sure it moves in the right direction. And we've lost the slide because we're updating. Awesome. Anyway, we'll keep going. I apologize for that. Just before Lindsay walks through some of the programs, I was going to name on the slide what it doesn't show because I think it's the most important context that follows. And I'll use an example. 2 private developers have committed in excess of $20 million. That's $20 million in our downtown. Core block, as you know, in the Bank of Nova Scotia building. These are not proposals. They are active investments underway in our downtown right now. They're a statement of confidence in this community, in this council, and the direction we've been heading. Those deals happened because the city was willing to engage directly, creatively, and with structured tools that went beyond a standard grant. The results is proof that the model works. When the city leads with purpose, informed by stakeholders with statistically sound analysis, and the private sector sees that commitment backed by action, capital follows. The GROW program, which Lindsay's going to get into momentarily, is how we framed and extend that model, not as a giveaway, as a co-investment framework where every city dollar requires a matching commitment from the private side, shared accountability from the first dollar to the last. The core principles are deliberate, respond to the BIA's unique conditions, address structural deficiencies before cosmetics, and we envision a co-investment model and understanding what needs to be fixed, not by concealing it. Inspire long-term asset planning, keep the process accessible enough that owners who want to act immediately can do so. This is not a new strategy layered on top of old ones. This is the next chapter of the work that's already been proven, built on the foundation of these working groups have laid, validated by data and shape of what we believe the core block and the Bank of Nova Scotia demonstrated when the city engaged with intervention. Lindsay, hopefully, is 100% there now and ready to walk through some of the programming. So go ahead. There you are, Lindsay. No pressure.
Thank you. We're doing it live. Okay, well, active listening. Here we go. These programs are quite exciting. As Mike just spoke to, this grows on or builds on the Downtown Transformation Committee reports and recommendations, inventory and vacancy data, initial stakeholder feedback, and a variety of other information, tools, people, resources. It's been a long process in the making. And we believe that this program, although it is a suggested framework, it's subject to changes. We believe that there's a lot of really great things in here that will address the core causes and root systemic issues in our downtown. Sorry. Just keep going. So the GROW program, it begins with transforming our built environment. So this is speaking to the physical experience of downtown Summerside does not yet match the ambition of our community, which is well demonstrated. We have 2 programs under this one program. Program 1A, Places and Spaces Public Realm Investment. Creative rest installations, lighting enhancements, wayfinding signage, pedestrian safety, pass remediation, and including a downtown gathering space. We are estimating a budget of $200,000 for this, and it being a city-led initiative with cross-collaboration between the Departments of Communications, Culture, Community Services, Economic Development, and more to be decided. Yes. Yay. Oh, we're good. Awesome. Speaking of getting to yes, Program 1B, this one is specifically to address technical and regulatory barriers. So this is where we're hoping to remove the technical knowledge barriers that prevent good intentions from becoming permitted, financed, and built improvements. This is something that we're going to use to access building condition assessments, architectural drawings, code compliance reviews, structural reports, and hoping to alleviate the difficulties and inaccessibility of the process by incorporating a concierge type style service through economic development, so we can really address what are you looking to do, what are you missing in order to accomplish that, and how can we help you get that over the goal. I'm not a sports person. I don't know why I tried to do that. Anyway, it requires owner commitment, and any buildings that have a fair or poor condition assessment is required to use this program to undergo a building condition assessment. We've budgeted approximately $50,000 for this, and the scope for this fund would be for BIA building owners and commercial tenants as well. The next program builds on the small business activation with the idea that a thriving small business community is the source and not a byproduct of a healthy downtown. Program 2A is the New Neighbor Capital Credit. It addresses attracting and supporting entrepreneurs and small businesses, includes barriers to accessing initial capital, that initial startup money that you need when you are taking a chance, taking a risk with your own business. And it's encouraging active occupancy instead of passive occupancy. That means more people interacting with the store, out on the sidewalk in front of the store, bringing their friends in to take a look, and more walking through our downtown. This requires a commitment to 3 years of operations and a Summerside resident as a business or property owner. We've estimated a budget of $100,000 with the scope to support new SMEs opened within the last 24 months with priority for active business types. Program 2B is very similar to Program 1B. It's our professional services grant to address technical and regulatory barriers. It would provide access to building condition assessments, architectural drawings, code compliance reviews, structural reports, and so on. It requires an owner commitment, and for any buildings that are currently rated fair or poor, they would need to use this to go through a building condition assessment first. We're budgeting approximately $150,000, with the scope being BIA building owners and commercial tenants. The next two programs are also under small business activation. Program 2C is the Vacant Space Activation Grant. It's supposed to address downtown vacancy and encourage, again, active occupancy. It requires owner commitment, a Summerside resident as a business or property owner, and building condition assessment for fair and poor buildings. The budget is approximately $150,000 with a 3-year tax abatement and a 3-year lease commitment. The scope for this is BIA building owners and commercial tenants. Program 2D is Paint the Town. It addresses a visual refresh of downtown and includes aesthetic and cosmetic improvements. It requires owner commitment, and this structure of this would be different from the other programs, as it would require delivery organization to oversee and disperse. The budget for this is $100,000, and we are anticipating this scope to be BIA wide. The final section of this is the special projects, and this speaks to expanding the commercial and residential footprint of downtown while supporting economic growth and community. Program 3A is the Large Building Incentive Fund. This is addressing those 7 priority buildings that make up 80% of our downtown vacancy. Many of them have systemic structural issues that prevent active occupancy. So this is hopefully going to address those issues and requires an equal financial commitment from the owner or prospective developer or buyer, as many of these buildings are for sale. The budget is $175,000, and the scope would be specific to address the Smallman's building, the Bell building, and the other buildings associated within those 7 priority buildings, and address through city-led compliance enforcement. So ensuring that the buildings are safe, that the structural issues and deficits are addressed, and that it's meeting code so that businesses can move in and get going. Program 3B is our second floor residential activation. This one addresses systemic structural issues that are preventing occupancy, and specifically around residential, not commercial. So this is building on our residential density of our downtown, which is very exciting with the Regent. I love looking out every day and seeing all the more progress that's happening there. This requires owner commitment, and for any buildings that have fair or poor ratings, it would require a building condition assessment. The budget is $75,000, and the scope would be across the BIA building owners and commercial tenants. This is an overview, and again, this is a suggested framework subject to changes. We have a lot of possibility and opportunity in front of us, but we also have the danger of doing nothing could lead to potentially us not being able to solve this issue in the future. This program is making use of an important investment, and it's building up a rising tide to support all the boats in our downtown. It's going to involve business owners, Chamber of Commerce, tourism groups. It's going to involve multiple different municipal departments. And ultimately, this work had to begin somewhere. We had a really excellent foundation. The Downtown Transformation Committees, their reports, their recommendations, some of which have already been accomplished or been kind of in the works of being accomplished by our municipal departments. It has all kind of led to this moment, and it's a very exciting one. It's exciting to see that we could possibly make some real systemic change in our downtown and support growing the vibrancy of our downtown even further.
So hopefully, Council, tonight, what we've tried to lay out on the screen within the next month is to have Council review, look at. Tonight is not a formal vote, and that's okay. What we're asking simply is that, in many ways, is just as important, looking for your feedback, your questions, and if we've done our job tonight, your enthusiasm for what we believe is the right next step for downtown, and then try and move this forward. So on the screen, I apologize. On the screen, Council authorizing the $1 million allocation, and that unlocks everything that follows. To direct the CAO in establishing the working group, the body that clarifies the roles, coordinates delivery organizations, vets the programs, builds a governance structure, establishes performance measures, and that produces the implementation plan. Excuse me. 4 years ago, Council made a commitment to the transformation of downtown. 3 subcommittees, spent hundreds of hours. Community volunteers answered that commitment. Private developers also answered it with their investments. The data answered it by confirming precisely and defensively where the problem lives and what it takes to address it. Tonight is not a conclusion of that work, it's the next step, and what has to be taken in the same seriousness and discipline that got us here, with structure, with performance expectations, with accountability, and the real leadership that is named with respect to the path that's already traveled. The commitment is to build upon that now. The private sector has moved, the community has already given its time and vision. The data supports the case. What downtown Summerside needs now is for us to match that commitment with our purpose, confidence, and with the conviction that the work ahead is worth doing. And with that, we'll open it up.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Lindsay, as well as to your departments and teams throughout the organization, and of course to all of the Deputy Mayor Snow, who chaired that committee, and all of council, and all the hundreds of individuals who contributed and played part in bringing a lot of this together. So thanks for bringing it all together. This really is the nuts and bolts, and it's exciting. So with that, as I think Mike and Lindsay alluded to here, tonight is the opportunity for questions and any feedback that will be taken back from council, and then it'll come back to council to see how we want to move forward. I see Councillor Nick Cameron. Great, Councillor Cameron.
Don't really have any questions. This is kind of my second time hearing the presentation. I like what I hear. I think it's great. I thank you guys and everyone who was involved to doing the tremendous amount of work that needs to go into this. I recognize that it's a lot of money, but I think it is also, like you said, we're kind of at a critical point. If we let it go much longer, there'll be maybe past the point of return. But I just want to say thank you guys for getting all of this done in a pretty concise way, really. I mean, it's a lot of information that came pretty clear and concise, and I always appreciate that. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, just wanted to, I guess, add that I think this has the potential to be the commitment that I think residents have been asking for literally for decades. This feels to me, after all the work that was put into it and hours, like you said, that were spent creating it, I really feel that this might be the seed that will really grow into what people have been looking for decades. I think this is the commitment that has been years in the making, and it's exciting to see it in person, and looking forward to seeing hopefully what we'll be able to do.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I agree. It was easy to read. I really appreciated that part. There was a lot of information, but then the presentation was great. So I just have a couple of questions. So when you say there's the 7 buildings, and then you mention like a couple, like the Bell building, obviously they're doing tremendous work on the outside of it. It's looking great. But then there's like the Smallman's building. So when we mention that, has the owner expressed any interest in doing something, or is this just something where like that building has to be worked on? Or like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I was the owner of the Smallman's building, I'd be like, hey, like if I didn't know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously they must know it needs work, but have the discussions been had, or have they come forward admitting that something needs to be done with it?
I think initially we've had general conversations with most of the building owners in the downtown core, and what's been, I'll say, somewhat lacking is the motivation and tools to get them over to that next step. This report is about identifying those, and it's a moment in time. Things change continuously, and we hope through this program and it stimulates more conversation, more action. But we've had some conversations with the gentleman. Certainly he wants to do stuff with this building, obviously, but there's challenges to making that happen as well. So hopefully this document kind of gives the team the tools to re-engage and do so in a more meaningful way, I guess. Yeah.
Just so, like, I'm downtown every day. I work there. And I know, like, even the other day, it was a beautiful day outside, and I think we have 6 picnic tables out back, and they were all full, right? And then there was some people just were sitting in the back of their truck having their lunch or whatever. So there are lots of people downtown that want to get out and, you know, be outside and walking around and stuff. So like that was a positive to see. Like, and I will commend our police because they've been doing a lot of walkabouts. I've seen them even with Lucy or without Lucy out and strolling around, and it does make a difference. It really does. And even, you know, whether it's somebody working down there or somebody stopped and running into the bank, like if you run into the bank and then you come out and you feel safe walking around while you're going to go for a stroll into another store or a shop or whatever. So anyways, I really appreciate that.
Okay. I really, really liked the way that it was presented and then how you did it tonight. It's short in some ways, but the way that you've brought it out, it's pretty easy to get a picture of what you want to see happen. I think the mixture of residential on the second floor and, you know, walkability, those kinds of things are really, really important. And I know $1 million does sound, and it is a lot of money, but really for what we're trying to accomplish, I just personally feel that if we don't do something, it's going to be a lot more than $1 million that we're not ever going to recoup. So I think that as a municipality, we really have to be the ones that are the gatekeepers to try and make it happen, and to really show that by putting skin in the game, we're trying to show that we really want this downtown to become a real catalyst for the whole community. So I think it sounds very good.
Councillor Morrison?
Yeah, just a comment too, it's great to see how much work and effort went into this. I think the time is now, you know, the city has grown in leaps and bounds in the last 4 or 5 years, and we've been really fortunate that it has. There's a couple of issues, or not issues, a couple of new projects that have downtown that are really helped jumpstart what's going on down there. I believe that that will entice more of that activity, and I think it's a good time for the city to jump in and help out and continue that push, you know, kind of strike when the iron's hot, when things are going on, and it creates a little bit of a whirlwind on its own and makes people want to be down there. And there's nothing better if you go to any other community, when I get to travel once in a while and go downtown and see what, you know, I know what the potential is, and it's like I say, I just fully believe that this is the time, and not to continue talking about it, but, you know, don't tell me, show me type of thing, and let's get at it. So, and I also believe there's more good things to come down there. So if we're just a little more patient, I think they'll happen. Just one question too, I think of it, and you guys might have said this, and I might have been sleeping through it, or, so when you were talking about some of that money, did I hear that it's kind of like a dollar for dollar thing? Like, if you, was that mentioned, or did I just dream that?
Yeah, so for majority of the programs, we are this is proposing that there's an equal commitment from the owner, from the applicant as well. This is really to just build on that overall commitment, on that accountability. Also, it helps us stretch that dollar even further and helps us to accomplish even more. And I think you're spot on. There's some really tremendous momentum in our downtown. Absolutely. And it's time. Let's keep it going. Yeah. This is
So in other words, if I had a building and I had an idea or a project or something that I wanted to do, and I was prepared to spend $30,000 or whatever is on my property, I can come to the city. Hypothetically, this is the way it's going to work. And if my project gets approved, then I'd put in 30, and the city would put in 30, and.
Absolutely, and we want to make it be as accessible as possible. There's so much funding. It comes with red tape. It comes with barriers. It comes with administrative issues.
More than aware of that.
Absolutely. So this is going to be something where we hope is going to begin and rely on conversations, discussions, really addressing what the core issues are and what the core goals of our business owners and entrepreneurs are.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and great job, great presentation. I read it a couple of times over the weekend. But I just had a few questions, and Rick got a couple of them answered for me. The percentage thing, so is it, I guess, similar to what Rick was asking, it's a 50-50 on most of these projects, or? And how does, like you said, there was, say, 200 and some thousand, or 75,000 available, or whatever, over a 2 to 3 year, I think it said over 2 or 3 years. Is that all given up front, or is it, and what happens if you start a business and you take off and that type of thing?
Yeah. Did you have another one? Sorry.
Yeah, just answer that one. I got a couple more, but.
So we're still working out the details of this, and some of it is we want to keep things flexible but also accountable to make sure that we know that the investments that we are giving are going to be that they're going to work and that they're going to go to places and businesses and buildings that are going to contribute to that vibrant downtown. So most of the programs have a percentage matching component. Right now we're proposing a 1-to-1 match, so dollar for dollar. And it's different depending on the different scale of things. So some of the technical barrier ones would be a smaller amount because they tend to be the reports, the assessments, they're useful, they're necessary, and a lot of it is paper and administrative things. So it's kind of to get over that hump of that barrier, move on to the next. And your second question, so sorry, was?
It was the amount of money over if you had a 3-year.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so we haven't gone that far in
and that's
planning
fine.
yet, and
Yeah.
it might depend on the types of applications and people and business owners that we speak to, or that economic development speaks to. I think my goal for this funding program and building it out is to make sure that similar to the HAF initiative and the HAF funding that we've set up here at the city, that if there's one stream that is more or is less used than another, that we can flexibly move that funding into one that is more actively used. So rather than kind of anchoring something and saying, nope, this is the program, this is tied exactly to that program, even if nobody's applying for it, that we can be flexible, we can be responsive, and we can be both proactive and reactive.
Right. So my other question is the 7, the famous 7 or whatever, are those going to be approached first? Because that's been a problem throughout our downtown for a number of years. And I think that's got to be fixed. And just before I have another comment I want to make, and I was looking under 1A, and I really think we're missing something. We have a beautiful spot downtown where we have the swings, and it's fallen into the ocean, and we need to have that fixed. And I think this is an opportunity to have part of this project. It's the seawall needs to be fixed there, and another couple of more storms, and we're going to have to take the swings out of there. And that's chewing away at our downtown, and I think it should be part of this project. And I'd like to see it part of that project.
Those are great observations and questions. So on the Magnificent 7, certainly those will be priority opportunities for us to have those discussions. And I think out of the gate, once CAO establishes the Vibrancy Committee, our department will also work to gather the intelligence of what we need to do to move them forward. Mm-hmm. The other thing I'll suggest to you is what we're proposing here is not in cement, it's kind of in putty, and our ultimate goal is to say, here's some suggested frameworks for you. As I mentioned in my closing remarks, we're looking for your feedback, we're looking for your insights, we're looking for your questions, and that's going to feed into this group to say there's other opportunities that we may have not captured as part of this process that we also need to address and try and build into the whole program. So yes, there'll be flexibility built throughout the whole system. But we had to start somewhere, and and based on kind of the 3 subcommittees' work, that's how we kind of approached trying to move this forward. So. And
my other one is just a comment. The $1 million budget is a big one, and I would prefer a $750 budget and the $250. I'm not saying I'm not for the $1 million, but take $250 and put it in a reserve, because we never know what's going to happen next year, right?
Absolutely, and I think, again, that's a great observation, and I think we need to take all that information, kind of funnel it through kind of where our program structures lie, kind of gather some intelligence, work with this Vibrancy Council, and then come back and work with you guys in terms of how do you maximize your investment? How do you make sure it maintains itself over, like, we don't know, are we gonna spend $1 million this year?
Well, that's my point, is
Yeah.
setting up the 250,
Yeah,
and we
for sure.
can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. Great job.
Great. No further questions there, so we'll look forward to seeing you again back when we can get program approved. And just through the conversations here, a great reminder that a lot of the things that we have here in the city of Summerside and a lot of the opportunities we have as a council, we're standing on blocks of people who came before us, and it's our responsibility to keep adding to those layers, to keep lifting up both ourselves here today, but those who will come in after us. And this looks like, to me, this is one of those legacy blocks that will have an impact that outlasts all of us in this room here in this beautiful community. So thank you for all the work, and look forward to seeing it come back to council and get things going. Awesome. Thank you. With that, council, we conclude our open council meeting here. We'll move into in-camera. We have 1, 2, 3 relatively quick, hopefully quick discussion. So we'll just take a really brief